Oh, we're on. Now then, crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. And let's try and get sorted out so I can see what's going on. Just to refresh there, look. And hopefully, oh, there we are. We're on. Whee! So it's cheers from Napier here on the east coast of the North Island. I've come down the east coast about 220 odd. Volume, Mr. Young, what's going on? Okay, there we are, it's a lot better. So about 220 kilometres down the east coast from Gisborne, where I was last night, to where I am here in Napier, in sunny New Zealand. It's been a really hot day actually. So, how was your day? There's the question. My day has been extremely busy. I spent about 3 hours this morning driving. Before that, about an hour and a half doing work and private related emails, and a bit of work on the channel too. And then jumped in the car and basically did a 3-hour rally stage trying to get past numerous holidaymakers in camper vans, other cars with caravans, and lots of trucks on that road. And it's a really twisty, interesting, scenic and most enjoyable drive. It would actually be really good on a bike. I wish I was on my KTM down there, because I've done it a lot quicker, but there is a possibility I may not be here tonight. So there's always a risk, isn't there? Hey, the viewers are climbing up really quick, so it's great to have you guys on board. I've not seen any chat come through yet, so feel free to ask away. This is your opportunity to ask Andy Mechanic pretty much anything you want, within reason. We're only saying within reason because, you know, YouTube rules and all that. Yeah. Oh, hi Andy from 1967 DKB. Good evening, welcome, or morning, or afternoon, or whatever it is from where you are. Hello. Jeez, I got an email, well, a text I think it was, from Ben this afternoon. Ben's my eldest lad, or only lad that I'm aware of. And he says, hey Andy, can you, Dad, can you come back up to Auckland on Saturday to view a house, please? I really can't. I'm going to be in Wellington until Friday afternoon, and there is no hope in hell's chance I'm going to get back to Auckland. I've got an ROV to service on Saturday and Sunday, lots and lots of work, another one for one of the surf clubs around New Zealand. It's going to require a full brake overhaul, full service, CDT drive overhaul. They also want it fully undersealing with that 3M bitumen-based product using the shut scum. So that's pretty involved too. So my weekend is pretty much spoken for. I'm driving back up to Auckland from the workshop, which is about 3.5 hours each way. It just isn't going to happen. So Ben's going to have to take some time off work, hopefully, and go and view that house that he wants to live at. Hey, welcome to the real world, son. So, where did we leave off last night? You need a story, don't you? I'll give you a story. I'll give you a story. Okay, so we're in the pub. So, you know, I did promise you I'd do a film from the pub. They don't know I'm filming, so maybe, just maybe, they're going to come over and either, the bar girls are either going to come over and join in and tell me off, or give everybody free drinks. I think it's probably the tell me off bit, but hey, we'll find out. So a story. How did I get into motorcycling? Well, that's a very good question. When I was about 12 years old, my father, who's passed away now unfortunately, Bob we called him, or Robin if he was in trouble, he bought me an old Honda SS50. Now Honda SS50 is basically the Honda C50 engine but in a sports bike frame for its era. And it had a manual clutch as opposed to a centrifugal clutch, and a 5-speed gearbox. Yeah. Now this one had also had the Honda C70, that's the 70cc, cylinder head and barrel fitted. So it was tenaciously fast for what it should have been. It wasn't really, but at 12 years old it felt like it was a rocket ship. And I promptly used that bike to go, we called it a field bike really, because we used to just ride across the fields. Phil, my middle brother, he used to have it was a Yamaha, jeez, I forgot, it was an 80cc two-stroke. Oh, Mido. Oh, no, that's not for me, but I can eat it if you want. It's alright. I'm getting free food now. Almost. Yeah, so it was a TY80, that was it, little trials bike. And we used to go off across the fields from Sheriff Hutton. Oh, sorry mate, I didn't realise it was an EFI bike. The early ones were cab. So yeah, we used to head off across the fields from a little village called Sheriff Hutton, which I mentioned I think last night, all the way up to Terrington Hall, which was probably about 12 miles across the fields. And one night we made it all the way to my friend's farm at Castle. I think we went across some farmland that we shouldn't really have gone on, but anyway, we decided to camp on the farmland. I'd taken my air rifle with me and the tent and stuff, and we camped overnight, and we spent most of the evening shooting rabbits and pigeons, which is absolutely fine. In England there's way too many of them, so if you're a animal rights person, then sorry, it was a long time ago. I've grown up since then. And about 3 o'clock in the morning we had the gamekeeper turn up, and I was going to say he knocked on the door of the tent, but he didn't really. He just unzipped the tent and like, "Oi, you, get out now!" And the police were there. There was a policeman with flashing blue lights on his car, and they thought, cheers mate, they thought that I had a proper rifle, and it wasn't an air rifle. Now, it was a very powerful air rifle. It was an air-powered rather than spring-powered. It used a diving bottle to recharge it. And I did actually one day test how powerful it was, and it would put a 2.2 lead pellet straight through the side of one of the Suzuki Jeep doors, through the inner panel, and then through the other inner panel on the other door, and then made a dent on the passenger side door. So it was pretty damn powerful, and pretty much went straight through whatever you hit. Small stuff, obviously. Anyway, this cop, he decided to seize my air rifle, assuming it was a 2.2 rifle, and I had no license for a 2.2 rifle as such. And I spent the next few hours, middle of the night, trying to explain to him the inner workings of an air rifle and how different the pellets were to a 2.2 rifle. Clearly he had very little knowledge of guns, but ultimately we did get the rifle back just in time for dawn, where we headed over to an old barn that my friend Ainsworth had a few miles away, where we'd put, it was a piece of corrugated iron over a hole in the roof. And inside that barn there were lots and lots of pigeons asleep. So we'd creep in, close the trap door so the corrugated iron would slide up the tiles and seal off the roof, and then merrily spend a good maybe half an hour earning 50 pence a pigeon for every one that we shot. Needless to say, we made quite a bit of money that night and took them down to the local butcher's a few hours later to get our reward. Great evening. Survived and didn't quite get locked up. Interested? Oh, hang on, there's all sorts of... Aidan, hey up Aidan, how's it going, mate? Cheers, mate. I'm in the Rose pub. It's an Irish pub here in Napier. Never been before. Googled it and came straight here, and I had about 3 minutes to get set up and find somewhere that was reasonably quiet to do the broadcast. Would have been a live stream. Never done one. Did my first one last night. For those of you that were here to watch it, but still really sort of getting the hang of it. And I have very little time to prepare for these things, but I just thought I'd bring you along to the pub and we'd have a bit of a chat, you know. So what have we got? S&A Auto. Hey pal, looking good. Well, I'm pretty knackered to be honest, but you know, could do with a bit of a shave. But thanks for the compliment. What else have we got? What's big? Here we go. What's big and red and vibrates? And some girls love to have one between their legs. I don't know, you tell me. A Honda. You know what? I was thinking of something completely different there, but Honda will do just fine. Yeah, I must admit, Tool Girl Lily did very much, for whatever reason, enjoy riding that Honda ATC. Maybe one day she'll tell me why. She's ridden plenty of bikes in the past, but that one seemed to just do it for her. Anyway. Oh my word, somebody's here from Argentina. I can't read the rest of it. Christian Valesi. So hello Christian. Now just while we're on about the comments, I was a bit surprised to see that once the live stream finished, all the comments that you gentlemen and ladies had made had disappeared when the video became a normal video on the channel. I don't know what I did wrong. If anybody can help, I want to really try and keep your comments for when the video goes live. But I know it's possible because Eric does. Dave Copper. Good morning, Andy. Yes, good morning, Dave. What time is it there, Dave? Because it's about, I don't know, 7:10 over here. I've been to Napier once. This is DJ Spy, Dermite 1. And you were on last night, weren't you? I remember that now. Been to Napier, 6-hour drive from Auckland. Only took me 3 hours to drive back there. Good man. You must have picked an excellent time when there was no police. Which brings me to another story. Here we go. So I was busy driving from Christchurch in the South Island across through Hammer Springs to Nelson, where there's a motorcycle shop there that I go and visit every now and again. And that road turned out to be really busy because there was an earthquake. Is it the Kaikoura area of the South Island? Where there was big landslides and stuff, and the one road was closed. So there was a diversion. That was the only other way, and it was a much longer way around, but there was a lot of traffic on it. So I ended up staying in Hammer Springs, really nice place. There's some good trail rides around there. And when I woke up in the morning, it was probably about 6 a.m, 5:30. I knew I had an early start. I looked out the window, and I'm not joking, and I think there's a picture on my Instagram account. There was about 7 cop cars at this one motel, all parked up. And they were all covered in dew on the windscreens and stuff, so they'd been there all night. And I thought, hey up, I found the lair. I've come across the policeman lair of where all these cops stay when they're patrolling that road, because it was very heavily patrolled. So I thought, right, sod breakfast, let's get on the road before the cops do. And I did. And I got to Nelson in extreme record time. It was fantastic. It was such a good drive. And there was very little traffic around. And, of course, needless to say, fortunately, no policemen. So, yeah, definitely worth getting out of bed that hour earlier. So, let's see what we're doing with these comments. Yes, Aidan, I am coming to Australia. I finally got the dates through. It is the week, I'm going from memory now, the week commencing the 8th of April. I believe that's a Monday. So I'll be there until the Friday at some point, I imagine. But the final dates haven't been set, but that's how it's looking. So I'll be in Sydney. If anybody else is around, we can catch up for a pint. On the evenings, I'll be working during the day, unfortunately. It's 6:10 in the morning. So where are you, Dave? You're in the UK, I guess. Rhino _ a little after midnight here in Oklahoma. That's from the movie. Oklahoma, yeah, United States. Well, good man, you're staying up super late to watch the live stream. I appreciate that. And we're already 13 minutes in. It's ridiculous. Time goes so quickly. Aidan, it is. It's always pub time. As soon as you get a chance, it's pub time. Yeah, without a doubt. So, I'll give you another little story from my past. Because I know you like this kind of stuff. It's almost like pub talk, isn't it, really? Where you tell your stories of survival. Well, I was a poor student in Loughborough, and I was at Loughborough Technical College. And at the time, I had it was a Yamaha TBR 250, a bit like what Ben's got now. Phenomenal machine. It was the world's first production supermotard. It was a parallel twin two-stroke with YPVS, and it was geared down to the compared to the TZR, so it was a real wheelie monster, super light, and it would do absolutely flat out about 105 miles an hour. I just couldn't get it to go any faster on the standard gearing, and I wasn't a small lad. Well, where was I going? I was riding back from Shepshed, which is just outside Loughborough, and I was taking my then girlfriend, who is now my wife, believe it or not, so it's been married a long time, all the way down to Leicester, where she lived, because we didn't live together at the time. I decided to drop onto the motorway, so we did, the M1, and we headed south, a couple of junctions, it wasn't too far really, and just basically wound it on. And there was a few cars on the road, it wasn't that late, probably 11ish at night. And I was in the outside lane doing probably I don't know, flat out. I was on the stop, 100 odd mile an hour. And I then moved to the middle lane, and then moved to the slow lane because there was no traffic. And a cop came up alongside me with his, for some unknown reason, he had his blue lights on. A bit confused, but anyway. But he was doing the same speed as me, so, you know, think of it what you wish. And he sort of pointed to pull off at the next exit. So I did the little trick of, you know, slowing down a bit, and then the cop pulled in front of me, and then he pulled off, and I just paired back onto the motorway and legged it down to the next exit. I didn't want to get stopped. I mean, I had a license and everything, but, you know, it costs money when you get stopped. So I wound it on, and I knew the next exit wasn't too far away, so legged it down there, peeled off at the next, you know, off-ramp, as they call it in New Zealand, the next exit. And then up the dual carriageway all the way into Leicester. And I could see in the distance, I could see in the distance blue lights. And there was this huge roundabout. Now we had to turn right to get to where we were going. This huge roundabout, and on the left-hand side was a big petrol station. So I decided to go around the roundabout, and I think there was a truck on the roundabout, which sort of, I was able to hide behind the truck. And the truck pulled into the petrol station, and we were still sort of to the right-hand side of the truck, so we were behind the truck to where the police car was coming from, the direction they were coming from. So they couldn't see that we'd pulled off the roundabout on the left-hand side. It just really looked to them that we'd gone round the roundabout to turn right and then disappeared. So we pulled into the petrol station, and sure enough, the police car got onto the roundabout and peeled off to the right. So we dodged that one. So I basically followed the police car, giving a very good distance and going nice and slowly and abiding by all the laws, officer, because it was only a 30 mile an hour zone at that point. Dropped Emma off Diggs, maybe a few hundred metres down that road, and then peeled back as fast as I could, not on the motorway obviously, back to my digs at Shipshed. And I remember just going over the overpass of the motorway, and I picked up another one of our friends, yes, with the blue lights, and he was chasing me into the housing estate. And I thought, well, this is getting a bit close to home. I'm going to lose him. I've got to lose him right now. So I managed to find, and I only lived there a few weeks, I managed to find one of those sort of alleyway snickets that feeds through from one road to the next. So I zoomed down there on my TDR as fast as I could, skidded out the end back onto the road, and fortunately the house that I was living at was just a couple of doors up. So I whizzed up, opened the garage, put the bike in the garage, and just as I closed the garage door, the sirens went past, and I was stood there in absolute darkness, and all I could see was the blue light under the garage door as it flew past the end of the garage. Unfortunately, the TDR was put to bed for a few weeks after that because it was pretty hot on the police's agenda, and I'm sure they'd have had a few photographs of me on the bike strapped to the dashboard, you know, APB, let's get handy kind of stuff. So I was back on the CM200 twin for a few weeks until the heat died down, but that was a very close call, and it was probably one of the closest calls I've ever had about being pulled up by the cops. Just out of interest, I've only ever once in my entire life been pulled up by the police whilst riding a motorcycle. At the time, I was doing about 110 mile an hour in a 30 zone. Went to court. I didn't lose my license. I pleaded to the judge. I'm really sorry, Judge. I promised to sell the motorcycle. It's such a bad influence on me, and I'll buy a car. And he took the bait, and he just gave me a £120 fine and a good telling off. I think I got 3 points on the license, and that was the end of that. And since that point, I've never been stopped in my entire life since then. I was 17 years old then. I'm not going to tell you all that now, but I've got away with it. And us bikers, we tend to have a bit of a sixth sense when there's a policeman around. You'll know what I mean if you're a biker. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the comments and see how we're doing. I do ramble on, sorry. Okay, Andrew Hewlett Patterson, it's 16:45, so it's 4:45 in the afternoon in South Australia. Yeah, so you'll still be at work. God damn you. I finished at about 6 today, bit of a rush. Dave Cooper, yes, yep, down in the Garden of England. Good man, I do miss England very much. And I miss the pubs there. The pubs there have got character. And you walk in, you're banging your head on the Shire Horse medals and the brasserie stuff hanging down. But, you know, it's great fun, isn't it? All those different kinds of beers and ciders and hot, you know, nice hot evenings in the summertime when you're out on your old BSA, plodding around the countryside, doing a pub crawl and slowly drinking yourself to a stupor and trying to find your way home. That's what we used to do. Moa Vic, Las Vegas viewer here, in the pub as well. Good man. All these pubs. Well, cheers. Cheers, Vic. Okay, we've got 56 Crown Vic. It's 12:15. That must be around about noon, 12:15, in Iowa. Now, isn't Eric O from Iowa? Not sure. Nick Harrah, 10:15 in San Francisco, California. So I'm guessing that's 10:15 a.m. I'm only guessing. Sorry. I'm not very good with timelines, as you probably guessed. Australians speak more formally than us Americans. Yes, of course they do. But us English, we're very proper when we talk. Unless we're really drunk, and then it just turns into a bit of a slang. What else we got? S&A Auto Repair, New York City, 1:20 a.m. Holy moly, working midnight until 8 a.m. You are a man. What else we got? Andrew Hewlett Patterson again. Thought I was smart. Tried to outrun police on a Suzuki Katana, but they got my plate and met me at my, yeah, that's their trick. They meet you at your house. They go, now then. And the worst thing is they use your first name. They go, now then, Andrew, what's been going on? Ben got stopped actually on his TDI. He was going down the on-ramp just outside Greenhide one morning. He'd only just got the bike. And it was a Friday. And he was, a police motorcyclist pulled him up. I should have said policeman on a motorcycle, pulled him up and said, Benjamin. And Ben was so stunned this guy knew his first name. Honestly, unreal. And he said, I've been watching you all week, which was even worse. He says, you've slowly been getting faster and faster coming down that on-ramp. Started off at the week about 110, today 140 kilometers an hour. And today I thought I better do something about it. Believe it or not, Ben got a warning. Unbelievable. He really should have got a ticket for that. So he's obviously got a bit of the charm of getting out of jail free that his dad has. And I think the English accent helps over a little bit as well. And he was an English cop, so you know, we all stick together, don't we? What have we got? Eric Oyes from New York Upstate, I'm sure. Yep. That's it, Avoca. Yeah, Avoca. I can't pronounce it. Is it Avoca? I don't know. Avoca? Avoca? Could be wrong. Took a shot of patron for Andy. Good man. It's 6:20 in the UK. Nick Harrah, sorry, should have said 22:15 in San Francisco. So yes, it's evening time. That makes more sense. Otis PL, Eric O, yep, Avoca, New York, not Iowa. Sorry, my fault. I should know this because I've watched literally pretty much all Eric's catalogue. I really enjoy his videos. He's a super busy guy, and if you haven't come across South Main Auto Repair, then you really need to check it out, because Eric is a fantastic technician, really good presenter, and he's come on a long way. If you look at some of his early videos, just like mine, they're not so good. You look at the new ones, and man, he really is. He does a great job, and I thoroughly enjoy watching his videos too. I'm sure many of you are also Eric's viewers. So what else we got? Andrew and the cops weren't too bad, but my missus was waiting out the front with them. Oh man, you're in so much trouble. You don't want to lose your license, mate. You need that. But temptation on a motorcycle. What else we got here? Moa Vic, Eric is how I found you. Good videos from you both. Thank you very much, Moa. Appreciate that. Aidan Loader, yeah, hey Aidan, you're always around, aren't you? Do you drink much coffee or tea? I do like the odd cup of tea now and again, just to break up the coffees. Pretty much always have a coffee in the morning. I had one this morning about 11 a.m. at a cafe I pulled up at. Let's have some breakfast on my rally stage to Napier. Maybe only one a day, maybe two if I'm working at my desk, getting bored. Who knows? Yeah, so there you go. We've run out of comments again, so we really should have maybe one more story. Just to say, it's a real story night tonight, isn't it? So, oh, I'll have a present for you. Really? Oh, good man. Well, hopefully I'm going to see you, aren't I, in a few weeks? Cheers, Aidan. Fingers crossed we'll get something organised. So, one more story. Rebel Andy. Man, I can think of so many stories, but I'm just not sure if I should put them on YouTube or not. Jeez. It goes back a long, long time. Okay, here we go. Ridicule me if you like. This sort of highlights just how unmonitored schools were back in the day, back in my day at school. Okay, I was at a school in York. It was I'm going to name it, what the hell. It was called Clifton Prep Preparatory School, and I was there until about the age of 9 maybe. And I didn't really get on too well with the headmistress. In actual fact, and she probably isn't around now because it was a long time ago. Yeah, we used to have the cane and the ruler and stuff, and I was a regular frequenter of her study and would regularly get the ruler or the cane, the ruler across your knuckles or the cane across your arse, basically, and it hurt like hell, but never taught me a lesson, unfortunately. Well, I decided one day to plot a scheme to rebel. I'm still not sure if I should say this story or not, but a young lass called, I think it was Isabel. I've been to her farm. No, she's not a tall girl, as we're talking kids now. Very nice though, I would definitely have her as a tall girl. Her father had a farm. Now, as most English farmers do, they have shotguns. And, hey mate, who's that? So we've got John Tyson. Yes, hello. Hello John. Evening mate, how's it going? Have a drink on you. So, actually it's a good little booth this, actually, it's good. Nobody's bothered me yet. I said to Isabel, I said, hey, is there any chance? I mean, you're all going to jump up and down at this, but hey, so be it. It's all a bit of fun, isn't it? I wouldn't tell you if it wasn't fun. I said, is there any chance, Isabel, that you could bring in some shotgun cartridges into school? And she started saying, well, yeah, of course I can. Which I thought was a bit odd, but I was only about, I don't know, 8 years old, so we just got on with it. And she brought in probably a dozen shotgun cartridges. And the cartridges they didn't have to be kept in a gun cupboard at that time, just the guns did. These were in probably the kitchen drawer, as the farmers did. So when she brought them into school, I decided to take in a hammer and probably a couple of screwdrivers and maybe a pair of pliers from home out of Dad's garage. Remember, I was only 8 years old, don't forget. Didn't really know what I was doing. And Mum always used to give me a packet of Monster Munch crisps for my lunch. I mean, school provided us lunch, but she gave me a packet of Monster Munch crisps, and it was the yellow packet. I think it was the bacon flavour. I can't remember, a long time ago. So we decided the plan was to open up these shotgun cartridges using the hammer and the screwdrivers, and this was done in open air, in the playground, in a little dirt pit area where the kids would play with the dinky toys and the Tonka toys and stuff. Endless fun digging up the ground and excavating and that kind of stuff. And teachers were mainly just round the corner in the main playground. And this is what I can remember, because again, it's a long time ago. So we successfully opened up and separated all the shot from what we thought was the gunpowder. That's what we called it. And we tipped all the gunpowder into the crisp packet. And the plan was to blow up the school. Yes, that was my almost Guy Fawkes moment. Yeah, you're all going to start the comments now, I know. So we tied off the crisp packet with a bit of string that we found lying around. And then I had this epiphany, you may call it, that maybe a crisp packet with some gunpowder in isn't going to really blow up the school. So I was having a little think, where could we put it where it'll have a bit more impact? And I remember down in the cellar where we used to hang our coats was the gas main. So promptly I took the crisp packet, down to the gas main, put it under the gas main, next to the regulator thing, I can't really remember. And I suddenly realised I had no ignition source. I didn't have a lighter or any matches. That's the one thing I'd forgotten, or, you know, not taken to school that day. I mean, I wouldn't normally take anything like that to school, so it was on my list, but I'd forgotten it. So I decided to go around asking other 8-year-olds, kids, hey, have you got a lighter? Have you got any matches? Well, it wasn't long before one of those kids went running off to a teacher and spragged on me. Basically, Andrew is asking for a lighter. Now, this sort of was a bit of a red flag to a teacher, especially for an 8-year-old asking for, you know, an incendiary device. So I was promptly, there was a search done at school, and promptly I was apprehended, stood next to the gas main holding a Monster Munch crisp packet. Unbeknown to the teacher at that time, or the headmistress, was the crisp packet full of essentially gunpowder. So they trudged me upstairs into the headmistress's study, and basically plonked the crisp packet down on the bench, on her desk. And what quickly followed was my father arriving, dragged away from work, and he really was sort of my lawyer to represent me in this case. And despite his best efforts, I got expelled. Once they realised there was shotgun cartridges being pulled apart in the playground and gunpowder put into a crisp packet, well, I was in pretty serious trouble. And for an 8-year-old, it just felt like the world had collapsed on me. But I suppose I asked for it. Looking back, pretty fair. But, you know, through a bit of mitigation, 3 days later, guess what? They retracted it, and I was back at school. On the promise, of course, no more gunpowder. So there you go. It all sort of started very early on in my life, bit of a rebel, and I managed to transfer that rebelness into the world of motorcycling. And ever since then, well, I've had very, very many near-death experiences on a bike, and it's just because I'm an idiot when I ride a bike, so I try and stay off them as much as I can at the moment. They warned me, it's quiz night. Holy shit. You any good at quizzes? Okay, let's do some more comments before we sign off, because it's getting close. Okay. S&A Auto Repair. Need your address. Have some good... Oh, good man. Okay, here's the address. Are you ready? You listening? It is also on my About page on YouTube. But the address, if you want to send anything through to me or any of the tool girls, they are still around. They're going to be back on the channel, don't worry. We're just going through that sort of workshop out thing at the moment. The address is Andy Mechanic, you know who that is, PO Box 6265, Wellesley Street, Auckland, and the postcode is 1141. And of course, that's New Zealand. So that's, I'll just say it one more time. It's Andy Mechanic, PO Box 6265, Wellesley Street, Auckland, postcode, and it goes inside at 1141. Feel free to send me anything you want. If you can give me a heads up of what you've sent, or just flick me a picture of the parcel before you send it, that would be really good, because then I can head up to the PO Box. My PO Box is in Auckland, and I live about 300 kilometres away, and I'm only in Auckland maybe a couple of times a month at the moment, you know, maybe 3 or 4 days at a time, so it requires a little bit of logistics to get things picked up, but that's okay, because the PO Box is used by the whole family, so it's not a problem. There you go, look, PO Box 6265, brilliant, thank you very much, appreciate that, saved me having to type it in. Cheers Otis, thank you very much. So what else have we got? Dave Wallace, hi Andy, this is Wally from Kilcairong near Gosford in New South Wales. I am in Townsville at the moment. Well, I have been to New South Wales, but I haven't been, I don't think, to Townsville. I've ridden into Sydney a couple of times on a motorbike when I've been over there with work, and I do hope to do that again next time I'm over there, which is in a few weeks' time, but we'll have to wait and see. Yes. What else have we got? Andrew Patterson, hell of a name. AHP, we'll call you. Okay. We used to blow up. Here we go. We used to blow up letterboxes with super fertilizer and diesel mix. Man, you get locked up for that now. Thanks to the mates a mate's dad being an ex-Australian military explosives expert. What a fantastic bloke to have as a mate. God, you could have so much fun with that, couldn't you? Good on you, mate. Yes, blowing up letterboxes. I'm pretty sure that's a common pastime around the world, isn't it? Good fun. But you know, you can't get away with it at my age anymore. You've got to be a little bit younger to plead innocence. 1967 DKB. When I was 7, I used to ride a motorbike to school. Seriously, now that is cool. Really good. Yeah, hell yeah, Andrew, you're right there. Just before I sign off, I do remember. Oh, we're getting a sneaky peek in the corner of the camera there. Somebody's having a little look. I do remember I was going out. I was at Bootham School in York. It was a Quaker school. It wasn't a Quaker, but they needed the extra pupils, so they took me on, which they really shouldn't have done. But we had a sort of an equivalent school that we were affiliated to in York called the Mount School for Girls. Yes, you can see where this is going, can't you? And there was a very nice young lady called Gillian Warrington that went to that school, and we did joint classes, and sometimes the classes were over at the girls' school, which was great fun, and sometimes the girls would come down to Bootham School and join in with our class. And there was one particular class which was called Business Studies that we did, and I was pretty good at Business Studies. Don't know what went wrong there, but anyway. And Gillian was in the class, and we had a great time. We sort of hit it off. And cut a long story short, a few weeks later, I started to go and visit her at school because she was a boarder. I was a day pupil, so I could do anything I wanted. And I would ride across York on my DT50. I think it was at the time. I was only 16, so only just legal. And basically, you know, visit her in her study, and you know, do whatever you do late at night with a young lady. And it turned out one night I made the mistake of parking the bike in the courtyard. And the courtyard, for some strange reason, about 1 a.m. in the morning, was locked. I couldn't get the bike out, and I had to get home. So I sort of paced up and down and wondered what to do. And I realised that from there we could unlock the doors into the main school corridor. And then, through a number of corridors through the school, I could actually get out onto the roadside through a side door. I didn't realise that the corridors had CCTV, and this is going back quite a while, so they were obviously very concerned about the protection of their young girls in the school. Anyway, put my biking gear on, you know, whittle the bike into the corridor, and wanting to do this as quickly as possible and get out of there, started the engine and rode the bike through various corridors through the school. And bearing in mind that DT50 is a 2-stroke, so it pretty much filled the school with blue smoke as well. Finally got to the outside door. It was a bit of a tight squeeze, but we got the bike out and then promptly rode off thinking that, hey, survived that one. Next morning, turn up to Bootham School. Headmaster is there at the motorcycle parking bay waiting for me, and has a number of pretty crappy printed out pictures of somebody riding a motorcycle down the corridor at the Mount School. He looked at me and said, "This is you, isn't it?" And well, fair cop, yep, it was. I got a week's suspension for that. But I did go back. And then I could explain why it happened and that they locked the bike in and all that kind of stuff. It still didn't wash. Anyway, that was one of the more milder stories from the Mount School. Yeah, I haven't improved at all, to be honest. Just ask my wife. It's terrible. Anyway, what are we on now? Almost 40 minutes. I think that's probably about enough for a live stream. I've hardly touched my cider. Getting a dry throat. Lots of talking. How's the audio? Any good? I don't know. I can't hear it. Hopefully the picture and the audio is okay. I'm not really sure if I can give you a quick pan of the pub. Let me just see if I can massage the camera around the pub. Jeez, get rid of the drink. I'm spilling that. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to just give you a view of the street front. It's a bit hard on this mountain, this one. There we go. Right, it's going round now. There you go. I'll see you in a minute. So there you go, that's the bar hiding behind there. And I've got to straighten it up again, that's terrible. There we go. Okay crew, well, last few comments, then we'll get off, okay? Right, sort that one out, it's a bit low. Live TV, it's terrible, isn't it? Okay, John Tyson, all good, thank you John. Aidan, how did you become a mechanic? I'll tell you Aidan, very quickly. I don't mind a few extra minutes if you don't mind. It's a very good question. How did I become a mechanic? Well, I did mention earlier in this video that my first motorcycle was a Honda SS50, sort of with a 70cc top end on it. Before that, I was given an X-Racing go-kart with Continental slick tyres. It was a good piece of kit with a Honda C50 engine in it. So I was already familiar with that style of engine at a very young age, and I'd already rebuilt the top end on that Honda C50 engine a few times when I was probably 10 years old, 11 years old. So it was a needs must actually, if I think correctly. It would blow up. Sorry, I'd blow it up because of lack of maintenance or whatever, or just thrashing it around the garden with no exhaust on it, and it would burn the exhaust valve out. That was the most common problem. And even though Dad had a garage, we were a Nissan main dealership called Norman Anchors. That was my great-grandfather. It was called Norman Anchors York Limited. You'll be able to Google that if you want. It was down Gillygate in York, and he had we were a Nissan dealer at the time. He had lots and lots of mechanics. But unfortunately, they never had time to fix my go-kart. Or very rarely had time. And it would go to work and it'd sit there for months and months and months and never get fixed. And eventually it would come home. And then I'd break it again in a few weeks, and that would be it. I wouldn't see it again for another 6 months. So I decided to fix it myself. So I got some tools and just got on with it. And I'd always pulled things apart and was interested in how things worked. So really, I suppose my interest in mechanics, I sort of realised I was, well, reasonably good at it, I suppose. It wasn't that hard for me to learn how to fix things. It just naturally progressed from there. And then I ran my own, eventually I finished college and I did a 2-year motor vehicle engineering course down in Loughborough. And after that, the plan was, I suppose, to go and run my dad's garage when he retired, but that didn't happen. The directors decided to sell the land and the buildings because it was worth a lot more than, because it was right in the CBD, so it was worth millions for the land by that point, so I didn't really get a look in. So I decided to start up my own off-road driving centre, and that really put into practice repairing a fleet of off-road vehicles, Nissan Patrols and Suzuki Jeeps and quad bikes and stuff. It really put into play the skills that I'd learned leading up to that point and during the course at Loughborough as well. And that's all I did for 15 years in England, was fix things, be it a generator, be it a loading shovel, be it the Unimog, be it a fleet of quad bikes or an old Russian ZIL. We had a ZIL 131, awesome machine. Still have no idea how the ignition system worked. It was all in Russian, but we got it going. If it broke, I had to fix it. And often things had to be fixed through the night because the operation we ran was every single day. So if your customer broke a vehicle that day, it had to be fixed and ready for action again the following day. And we had by the end of it, we had a fleet of 87 vehicles. So it was no mean feat to try and keep all those on the road, so to speak. And often there were some vehicles that took weeks to get fixed. Gearboxes, engine swaps. We just never had time to do it. We were always replacing springs and brake pads and that kind of stuff. And then I came to New Zealand, and for a year I chilled out because I was pretty stressed when I got here, and I trained as a Shimano bicycle mechanic, and I ran a bicycle workshop for about a year. I'll speak up now. About a year, and during that year I did my warrant fitness course and got qualified for doing lofts on cars and motorcycles. Then got a job as a service manager at a motorcycle dealership, and then got a job in a Firestone running that, doing wheel alignments and warrant fitness and that kind of stuff. Then I was a lecturer for 5 years at Unitec. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Met lots and lots of students, had a great time. Pretty easy going actually, and that's why I started to do videos. The kids loved the videos. Found it really easy to learn, especially the kids that spoke a different language to English, where English wasn't their first language. They could pause the video and look up a new word and carry on. And that really sold it to me in a way that I could try and pass on the knowledge that I've gained. I mean, I don't know everything by any means. I only know a tiny fraction of what's out there. You know, as mechanics, we all sort of specialise in our own areas, and my speciality is ATVs and motorcycles and I suppose basic cars. I don't really get too involved with the more modern technical cars. My speciality most definitely is the little Suzuki SJ 410s and 413s. I used to build those from the ground up. Everything, engines, gearboxes, transfer boxes, put the shell on the chassis, build the chassis up, put the wiring harness in, wiring everything up, and make a Jeep from parts. I used to love doing that, it was great fun. So I know all about the Suzukis. And then I got a phone call from a major motorcycle importer here in New Zealand asking me to be their service rep for New Zealand. And after doing 5 years of teaching, I thought, well, a new chapter opens, let's take the job. And I knew the guy that was doing that job at the time, and he put my name forward. And he really sort of told me that I'd be pretty well adapted to doing that role, or well suited to doing that role. And here I am, nearly 2 years in, and thoroughly enjoying it. It's hard work, and I travel all over New Zealand, fixing things and helping others to fix things. Basically, that's my job. Interesting. Don't see the family very much anymore, but that's just the sacrifice that you take, isn't it? Anyway, we're running over time. Cider's warming up. It's got to turn into scrumpy. Okay, last few. And we still, 32 people watching. Excellent. That's more than last night. Cheers. Audio's great. Thank you. Better than last night. Great. It must just be the signal because everything's on data. Phone's about to go flat. Shit. Wow, we're using some power up. You're a natural behind the camera. I'm not sure about that, but thanks for the compliment. Okay, crew, everything's starting to go flat, so I'm going to sign off. Until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and maybe, just maybe, I'll do one more live stream tomorrow night from Wellington. Yes, that's right, I'll be in Wellington tomorrow night, and then finally going to be heading back up to Taupo. So I will see you all tomorrow night at 7 PM New Zealand time. Cheers, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up. See you, crew. Over and out.